I would like to take a minute first off to acknowledge our fans and the support that they gave us this year, and also how hard the staff worked here, from the front office all the way down to the field. But, it was a tale of two seasons here, and it did not exactly start off the way we had hoped it would be. We were competitive, we were fighting. In those things. And it was really, for me, this is one of the most rewarding seasons of my entire time here at FC Dallas. I could not have been more proud of the fight, especially over the last 10 games of the season and the effort that this team put forth to get into the playoffs, because in July, we weren't where we wanted to be, and that happens sometimes, and some teams will give up and quit. But I think everybody got to see why we selected Eric Quill as our head coach here. First off, he's a great tactician and understands the game, but his desire for the game and the competitive nature, because our teams didn't give up, they fought, and one of the most impressive things was our road record this year. It was something really, really special, where most teams struggle on the road in Major League Soccer, and our prior year, that was really our Achilles heel, was a lot of our road play. This team was fierce and competed and had so much success on the road. And for us to make the playoffs and make it not just we weren't a play-in team this year. We were actually in the regular playoff grouping and played a very good Vancouver team. And we're seeing that now. They're playing in the final, and a lot of credit to them. But I really could not be more proud of this organization, the people, the fight, the coaching staff, all the effort that they put in this, and then the players and the success that the players had. And also, we've all had a couple players help get their countries into the World Cup. Petar Musa, what a great story in Croatia, and Dietzen now in Haiti. What an exciting story. So this has been an incredibly rewarding year for this club, and most importantly, a foundation. And I told the players, and I've told a lot of the staff here, that, this is one of those building blocks. If you want to be a champion, this is one of these building block seasons that you have to understand that it doesn't always go your way. But you have to fight through those things and deal with adversity and deal with things that don't go right, and continue to be your best and put that effort in every single day. And I think this was a really important moment for this club and for the future with what we're building with Eric and Andre here, to take that next step to lift trophies this next year and beyond. So like I said, I could not be more proud of everybody here in this building. I could not be more excited for 2026. And I know under Eric's leadership and this love for the game and the passion for the game, great things are going to happen here for the club. And I'm also so excited because 2026 is really a year of soccer coming, with the World Cup and everything that we have happening here, and how Dallas will really be the epicenter of World Cup 26. So this is a great moment to be in this business, and again, just so proud to be part of this FC Dallas family.
Thanks, Dan. We'll next go to Andre, who will provide his perspective on the club's roster evaluation and soccer operations.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Well, we came from 2024 to 2025 with a lot of roster changes. We made a very profound, a lot of moves in the roster, and many players left the club 2024 to 2025. And as Dan was saying, we're very proud how the team finished the season and the fight in the last couple of months. And now we have a very strong roster. We feel we have a very solid players that will be here with us next year. And from there on, we're looking to add a few more pieces that we really believe will raise the level and make us even stronger. So I'm excited. We're working a lot for the last since the season ended. We were already targeting our players, and then we focused more on trying to finalize those negotiations and players that we believe they have the profile that we need. And we'll make this team that ended the year in such a good way. And obviously, we wanted to go further in the playoffs, but we played a very, very strong opponent that is doing and having an amazing season. So, but I'm confident that 2026 will be a year that we will make our fans very proud of the way we're playing and the style of players that we'll have here together with those players that are already in the roster. And I'm optimistic to have a very successful season in 2026.
Thank you, Andre. And finally, we'll hear from Eric on the club and the path forward.
Morning, everyone. I'll start by just, again, I want to thank Clark and Dan and Andre again for taking a chance on a first-year head coach in Major League Soccer. Not a lot of ownerships, leaderships have that in them to hire an unproven product. And this season for me was amazing because of the challenge. I felt like a rookie again, which I was in a lot of ways. Going back to my first year as a Major League Soccer player at 18 years old. Knowing that you have a lot to learn, knowing you're in a business that doesn't give you a lot of time to learn. And what I was really proud of was how staff, players, front office, everybody came together with a belief and never lost that belief when they could have, when the season was in July. You could have said, here we go, this is why you don't hire a first-year head coach that hasn't been in the league. All the naysayers, all the negativity that comes with it, and what we did was we were resilient, we were together, and the players deserve so much credit because, to Dan's point, I've seen it a million times. They could lay it down and chalk it, get ready for next season. But these guys, credit to them and the character we've built within this roster is we have warriors, and you saw that firsthand. We have guys that are committed, and by the end of the season, I think you saw a team that really believed. So what we did was built a foundation, the building blocks to be champions. We saw a team that's in the final right now in front of our own eyes, 3 games in a row, and we know pound for pound what we went against and what we are, who we are, and that's the difference going into this season is we know exactly who we are, what we need to be. There's no more tinkering. There's no more experimentation. There's clarity. And so that's why the excitement for us is here, for myself, is because of the clarity is so real that we're talking about exactly what we need to go after. It's not wholesale changes. It's so the future is really, really bright. And if you're a fan of this team, you're going to want to be around here in 2026. Because the momentum it's not fake, it's real. And I know that firsthand. I'm excited, and I want to thank the organization, everybody, top to bottom, everybody that works on the stadium, inside the walls, outside field. This is truly a family organization, which is why I was so excited to come back, as you can feel it. It's authentic. And I love coming to work every day, and we are on the verge of doing something. I know that. I feel that. I think people feel that have been around here. And so, like I said, I just want to thank those that are part of it. Thank you those be here this morning, and get ready for 2026.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And with that, we'll open up questions to the room. Abraham, go ahead and please start us off.
Hello, good morning. One question for Coach Eric, one question for Dan. Coach, what's the biggest single lesson that you take away from your first season as an MLS coach?
The solutions are always there if you're willing to search for them. And if you're willing to stay resilient and positive, and believe that you can find a way. And that's the biggest takeaway is you're going to lose some games. Nobody's going undefeated in this league. But the character of people, the leadership, the belief, your staff, everybody committed to each other, And that's what again, the collective mentality and buy-in is what got us out. And so that's probably my biggest takeaway is when you believe and you lead in a way and there's no finger pointing, there's no victims. It's just let's roll the sleeves up and find a way, and that's what we did.
Thank you. Dan, one question for you. How imperative is to have an elite player, a superstar player, in order to, like Miami and Vancouver, to achieve getting to the MLS Cup final game?
Yeah, and first I want to address something that Eric said is the solutions are there. He recognized that changing our formation, which is no secret to anybody here, allowed us to really change our success here or how things were going. So I give him so much credit because so few coaches are willing to change their tactics, and it typically gets away from you when you do that. And a credit to him and his entire staff for the willingness to do that. It led us to the playoffs, and so that should go recognized. That he said it. The solutions are there. With your question, yes, this year is a really interesting one because you do have some superstar players that have gone, but a lot of the champions throughout history, yes, they've had good DPs. Sometimes, obviously not to the extent of, I think, what we're seeing in Miami this go around. Vancouver's just a very good team, though. And if you look at those pieces that they put together, they're working so well as a unit. It's a very committed group of players. Obviously, Thomas Muller's a special player. There's no question about that. I mean, we have great players here. Petr Musa is a great player, still young in his career. And one of our big focuses this offseason will be adding players that will give our forwards more opportunities to score goals. We have plenty goals there, and I think we've only scratched the surface. And he is an elite player. I'm excited about Logan Farrington. But yes, this year is one of those ones that is driven a little bit by, I think, some big names and DPs. And it's exciting for the league, too, to have two different teams in the final. This is a good moment for Major League Soccer. But we're focused on what 2026 is going to be. I think this is going to be something really special at this club. And we want to elevate those star players that we have with new additions.
Andre, what positions needs to be addressed for next year?
I don't like to just make it public what positions we're looking for because just our opponents and even our players. But we throughout the year we address already. Our scouts are working on every position, and we have a list of the players that we have clear the profile of players that we want. We discussed this with Eric. And then we start working and building our list, and towards and as I said, after the end of when we got eliminated, we focused on bringing the right players that will really make us a better team in 2026. But we'll add in different in midfield and in the attack. So we'll have players, and we want to give Eric a bigger headache and have more options that will make him really look at the roster and say, well, I have options that any of those players that I pick will keep the level of the team at a high level. So
over here. Good morning, gentlemen. Pedro Silva, Televisa Univision. First question is probably for all three. The second one for Coach. The first, following up on Abraham's question, I understand that perhaps the roster additions are not defined yet, but is there a focal point as far as which leagues, European leagues, South American leagues, Liga MX or MLS, that you guys will be focusing on those additions? And for Coach Quill, Coach, what would you say regarding one specific player, Lucho Acosta, because they brought him here as one of the key additions at the beginning of the season, but it didn't seem that he fit the mold. What would you say why he didn't work out as far as that experiment? So those two.
So we have very clear on our mind what we need and the profiles and positions that we need, and we're working on that, and we're close on a couple of players that we want to sign. Still some details to finalize, but I believe we'll get it done in the next couple of weeks. And we look everywhere. We in this game we know there's talent in Africa, in South America, in Asia. So we have scouts in Europe. We have scouts in South America. We have one scout in Asia. So we keep getting players from different places, and for us, it's, as I said, it's the right fit and the right profile. So we don't it's not that we're just focused on a single market. We now with all the so many players coming to MLS and seeing from different leagues, we understand better where we need to focus more. But every region has talented players, leagues that are strong that we found, and this league has shown that players that come from different places can be very successful here.
It's very easy. I mean, I think our process has maybe been the best it's ever been. Scouting-wise, they've built out a global scouting network. We have a very few open roster spots. Again, no secret to anybody here. And they have defined each position, and there's a couple players in each one of those that we've targeted, and so I give them a lot of credit. And Eric spent a lot of time watching after our scouting department vets the players. I mean, there's a lot of personal interviews that happen with these players, spending time to get to know them, because you want that locker room right. And I go back to the team from July on. The locker room was right. You had a bunch of warriors fighting and knew what the objective was. And so credit, we want to bring 3 or 4 more warriors here. They're going to come from different places, I can already tell you, just looking at it. But I think the process has been great. And you get your locker room right, which is what we've done, and you get focused on what the objective is, great things will happen.
Thank you very much. Now we'll turn it over to the... Oh, I'm sorry.
So just our scouting team does an amazing job, right, of vetting players before they come to me. When they come to me, my job is to be the obsessive person that I am and go over the granular detail of each profile that I believe is exactly the right talent fit. And once I find that, can his character match my love of his talent, right? Because I won't substitute character, right? You can be the most talented person, but if your character isn't what this club and what our DNA and ethos is, it's just not going to work. And so it's a process, and it's a process not to be taken lightly. It's a process that you need to get right, and there's no guarantees, but you go through this, like I said, the granular details that make sure that when you lay your head on a pillow, you feel very confident that you're getting it right. And so that's the process we're in, and that's the process we're committed to. And all of us together, it's not just me. We're all in a room together debating what is the right profile for this club, because we know that we're onto something, and this is an important window for us to keep contributing to what we believe is a championship roster. And to go to your point about Lucho, look, Lucho taught us a ton. He taught us the value of competitiveness. That man competed every day on the training field. That man had a high level of expectation with young players, right? And I don't think a lot of players were maybe used to being around that type of expectation. So he gave us a lot of quality that we don't necessarily, you can't quantify. And I put a lot of maybe Lucho's ineffectiveness or our team's ineffectiveness with Lucho to me. That's on me. Again, we're in a time bit. I'm a first-year coach. We're trying to figure ourselves out, and maybe he's a product of the tinkering, trying to figure out what best formation suits everyone, including him. And it just wasn't the time. We ran out of time, right? And so you start finding solutions, like I said. And so, but Lucho gave us so much good. And I really don't I think that's what people need to understand is he taught players a training mentality, a game mentality, an expectation for detail, he wasn't going to settle for less. And so while his term here was short and yes, the team results were not there, he gave us way more good than bad. And I want people to understand that.
Thanks. We'll go to Garrett now.
Garrett Melser with FCDallas.com. This first one is for Eric. We mentioned the formation change already, and you said you don't really want to be chopping and changing next season. Does that mean you're settled on 3-5-2 going forward? And if so, how do you want that to evolve as the season progresses?
I mean, in a form of, you can say that, but we're still, there's a lot of variations you can play with when what we were playing, and so we're aware of those variations. We're building the roster into those variations. I don't believe in being a one-trick pony. In this versatility and being able to tweak tactics is important, and so, but you have to have the pieces when you want to tweak that it's seamless and you can fit them right in and change for yourselves or for opponents, whatever it is. So yes, you're going to see a lot of similar type formation as our primary this next season, but as you can see, if the solution is to go 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, I'm not scared to make that the solution. And so this game is evolving with tacticians, with versatile rosters that allow you to keep teams guessing a bit. And so, but we're gonna commit to what you saw at the very back half of the season. But there's a lot of versatility within that.
Next one for Andre. With that answer in mind, that 3-5-2 is probably the way to go, but it can always change. How do you go about recruiting and finding players who fit that system but can also be versatile and change to different systems if need be?
Yeah, we discussed this a lot, and it's just, as I mentioned before, I just want to have a roster full of options that Eric can play in any style that he feels is the right one for us. So knowing that this is the primary idea for our coaching staff, it's obviously that's what we're targeting right now, players with that profile. But we want to have options in the roster. We want to have a roster deep enough that if Eric needs to move to a different formation or a different style, we would have those pieces in the locker room that he can use that. So we're addressing this right now, and I feel good about what we discussed and the options that we're trying to bring.
Hi, Carlos Nava with ESPN. So, Andre, what is going to be the expectation, the real expectation for next season on the field, and what is going to be the role of the academy players? Normally, because the tradition, this team has been huge with the young players. Last season, maybe I'm wrong, but beside Nolan Norris and Michael, there wasn't too many academy kids on the field. Some of them were let go a month ago or something like that. So what is the expectation with all of this? Thank you.
Yeah, so last year we had Josh, we had Diego, we had Anthony, we had Michael Collodi, Nolan. We had a few, and this is in our DNA. We're going to continue to develop. We're going to continue to sign. I'm working right now on signing homegrown players to a first team contract or to a second team contract, and we want to keep that moving because that's part of what FC Dallas is. And we want our players to keep having more opportunities. North Texas is, for me, an amazing platform, and especially in 2026 with Mansfield, it's going to be a great, we are super excited with 2026 for North Texas and allowing our players to have the opportunity to play in such a great stadium in a nice community. So we're going to continue to build. We continue to count on our young players. We have players that will be that were in North Texas last year that will be with more time in the first team, and that's then on them and how they show the coaching staff that they're ready to contribute in our games, in our season. We're going to have a long season. We're going to have we're back at playing Leagues Cup. So it's another competition that we're going to play, and there are more opportunities for our players to have minutes. So those young players we're always watching. Our first team coaching staff is always watching academy games or second team games, because that's the future for FC Dallas.
I'd also like to point out Shaq is from our academy and Chris Cappy's. It's just a different generation of players here. It is still our DNA and our ethos to develop those players, and I think we have as good a generations of players coming up again, taking us back to those classes that had Jesus and Paxton, Cervania, Cerrillo, those great players. We're starting to see in some of our younger categories that level of talent and maybe beyond.
And with the world watching Dallas, because the World Cup obviously it put more expectations, bigger expectations with the FC Dallas for next season on the field.
Because of the World Cup, you mean?
Yeah, because most of the soccer eyes are going to be watching Dallas and United States.
We said we won based on how we finished the last season and making the playoffs, and we've. It's always tough to be eliminated, and we want to go further. So we want to be again in the playoffs, and we want to go further. We want to win trophies here. That's why I'm here. We always and Dan mentioned about the interviewing players that we want to sign, and we always tell them. I show pictures of in the past we winning Supporters Shield, U.S. Open Cup, and we never won MLS Cup, and that's why I'm here every day. And Eric always says that's why I wake up every morning with that mentality of one day bringing MLS Cup to FC Dallas. That's our ultimate goal. It's extremely difficult. We see how hard it is to reach that, but we always have to believe. So we set our goals to always be better than we did in 2025. But I don't think the World Cup will affect anything that we already are setting for ourselves here.
Great, thank you. Now we're open up to the Zoom. Nathan, can you go ahead and read out your question, please? Nope, Zoom room audio difficult.
Yes.
Okay, we can hear you. Go ahead, Nathan.
Oh, we're good. We're good. Okay, good. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Nathan Hill with Afterburn Soccer. This is a question for Dan. Obviously, Major League Soccer announced a huge season shift that really changes everything, for Major League Soccer to align with other leagues across the world, and impacts transfer markets and things. And I'm just curious, how involved were you in that conversation with other owners and with the league? And really, if you could, knowing your dad, how important he was and is to this league, how many seeds he planted. I mean, what do you think he would say about this monumental shift for Major League Soccer as a sign of maybe where it is going and how it has grown?
Yeah, well, I'll start with my dad, and I think many of you know here, I tell everyone I have the greatest job in the entire world. This is the last project I got to do while he was still alive. I get to see his fingerprints all over this building all day long. I get to think of so many great memories walking around with him here, and his excitement for the growth of soccer. Really, this is something he fought for his entire business life, was to grow the game. And he was an innovator, right? That was who he was. He fought to make changes, and I go back to the NFL. He was really the father of the 2-point rule in the NFL, and he fought for almost 20 years to get that put in. And so, it's natural for leagues to make changes, and us going to the traditional European calendar, I think, is really a great thing. It's a great thing from a alignment with soccer in general. I think from soccer fans, it's something they're used to. It's a great thing from transfer revenue standpoint. We hope we achieve higher transfer revenues, because us selling players into the December-January window when our season is over, that is not the primary window of the big European clubs and their spending. And so players were leaving at a discount. I think raising those values will allow us all to reinvest inside Major League Soccer. So more money in the system. Something that a lot of people haven't talked about, and we work on this a lot, is trying to get players on loan from European clubs. And because our season doesn't line up, it's almost impossible to get loans of players. It's happened a little more lately, but we have these conversations so often with clubs and agents, and they say, well, this leaves my players sort of stranded or maybe out of favor with a coach when they come back to us, not aligning. I think you're going to see an influx between 50 and 100 players. It'll take a couple years of incredibly high level talent that will pick Major League Soccer to come, and it will raise the level of this league significantly. And I don't think people have spent enough time talking about this. And you'll have a lot of the big European clubs that have stables of players that will say, look, our young player needs a year. Maybe he's going to learn English, learning to adapt, or on their way from South America, they stop in Major League Soccer as a 1 year. So I think we're going to see a monumental shift in the level of Major League Soccer and the talent, and this is incredibly exciting. I give ownership, I give the league a lot of credit for the innovation. The World Cup is the perfect catalyst for us to do this. We were obviously in favor of this because Clark and I are very much traditionalists in the game of soccer, and we think this would be great. We were all involved, but this was a collective of Major League Soccer and great leadership from the league office. I know they spent a lot of time studying this, but I think this is one of these monumental moments for Major League Soccer where we're going to look back and say that was the catalyst that catapulted this league forward into a top 5 global league. And also it's going to be that thing that allows us to increase our investment in our teams because you're going to have more transfer revenue coming in. And I think this is that moment, soccer fans will look back and say it was, pre-World Cup MLS versus post-World Cup 2026 and beyond MLS.
Thank you, Dan. And we'll next go to Drew, please.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking the time today. Andre, Eric, this is kind of for you guys. I'm curious your thoughts on the roster construction models that are in MLS these days. This season, you guys went with the U22 model with 4 U22 players. You really only got action out of 2 of those guys for the most part this season, with Giovanni De Jesus being out injured. Just curious what his status is going into next year, and if you see that U22 model is still the right path forward for you guys into 2026. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think there are pros and cons in choosing each of the models. We believed for last year and likely for this year, the 2 DPs and 4 U22s is the model that we want to continue. Obviously gives you also another flexibility with GAM for those that are familiar with the MLS rules. So again, we're a team that we're proud to play young players, and having this possibility of bringing more U22s is something that we like. We like bringing players like Kaique, who was I don't know if the CIA's released that he was top 5 U22 Brazilian players outside of Brazil that had more minutes all over the world. So this is something that is great, that we can bring young players that can contribute to our success here and develop them. So we like this model, and we should continue in 2026 with that. And as for Giovanni, his progress has been amazing. Giovanni has been the last month or so been working even harder. He's like, Giovanni's been out for more than 2 years now. But we could see in the last couple of months huge progress. He's feeling great, and we strongly believe that he will be ready in our preseason to start the preseason with us, which is it feels like a new signing, and I'm really happy. I feel super happy that with the possibility of having Giovanni back, and we had this with Paxton this season, and having Paxton and Giovanni starting preseason with us, it's another 2 players that will make a huge impact in our team next year.
Thank you, Andre.
Yeah, the only model I follow is the DGP model. All right, it's a damn good player model. It's so you can call them whatever the hell you want. 30 DGPs is what we want in this roster, and that's what we go after. So as a head coach, that's everybody's equal playing field. Everybody's contributions needed if you want to win trophies. No single player is greater than the other, and that's just the model I go by in life, and will always go by. So,
Great, thank you. Next, we'll go to Peter Wempton, please.
Hey guys, first off, Eric, congratulations on getting that team into the playoffs. That was very impressive and entertaining. My question is for Dan. I was hoping you could give some background and specifics on how you and your brother and the team arrived at the decision to do this version of the stadium rebuild project. In other words, did you guys ever consider building a new stadium somewhere else on the property or playing elsewhere in a different venue while the work was being done, and how ultimately you guys balanced playing inside the renovation for 3 seasons and how that affected the team on the field, the fan game day experience, and ultimately your team's salary budget? Thanks.
That's about a 20-part question. So we looked at a lot of options, and this is dated back for a number of years, right? We recognized that the sun was the biggest challenge. The number one request from fans was roof structure, and then, amenities, restrooms, concessions, things like that. There was never really any consideration of building a new stadium on the property. We looked at it, we thought about it, right? You're going to analyze this from every angle possible. But we love this building. One of the great beauties of it is there's not a bad seat in the entire building. The viewing angles are amazing. That was something my father was incredibly focused on. But when we built the stadium, we were coming out of a time where Major League Soccer was about to not exist. I think a number of you have heard me tell the stories over and over. When the league, sort of went out of business, and my father and Phil Anschutz and Robert Kraft saved the league. The 3 of them took 10 teams, and then we took the plunge here after my father had read a story about George Purifoy, the city manager in Frisco. He read about it in the Dallas Morning News, and they went up here and had lunch. I think at La Hacienda Ranch, shook hands, and he came back and said, "We have a deal. We're going to Frisco." And he had told us, as his health was declining, Clark and I were visiting with him. He said, "Guys, we're way early, but I put you guys in the right spot. This will be incredibly successful. Frisco will be one of these epicenters of the Metroplex. You're just off the toll road. You're in the perfect location. And the toll road one day will go to Oklahoma," which he was right about. So we have this great building, but we recognized it wasn't what we needed to continue to really grow this business, generate the revenue we need, right, to operate a business, because expenses continue to grow, player costs continue to go up, all of those things. And so we've been very focused on this for a number of years, and actually COVID set us back a little bit. We were first focused on the development around the stadium and then redoing the stadium, but we took a big pause for a lot of things. We didn't know what the world landscape was going to be like. And, it actually worked out the way it was supposed to. It allowed us to align the redevelopment of this building with also developing around the stadium. We're going to build 1 million square feet of office, more than 1 million square feet of office. We're going to put a luxury hotel around here. We're going to do 40,000 plus square feet of retail and restaurant is coming. Potentially a high-rise condo tower, too. Would probably be the last phase of this. So all these great things are going to happen, but Toyota Stadium and Soccer Center is the centerpiece of all of this. This is our home. It's something we're incredibly proud of, but we had a duty to make a reinvestment in this, and that duty was to our fans, to the players, to the staff, to Major League Soccer, right? This is one of the original buildings here. This was number 3. And number 1 no longer is being used, and 2 was LA. And this was 3rd. And if you look at these modern buildings, what they mean for the in-game experience is it's a world-class venues popping up. And so we studied it a lot, and really it was easy to do this in that the bones of this building are amazing. And now we get to spend $200 million on this building because that's what it's going to cost, and give everybody what I think will be one of the finest small soccer-specific stadiums in the entire world. This is going to be a pinnacle building that people are going to look to. And, one of the design features, for those that don't know, we're not exactly on access with the sun. We're on access with the City Hall. And that was a design feature that my father had wanted to make sure that this stadium mirrored City Hall. So that's why you're going to see a unique roof structure here. And then, obviously, the east building building is going up right now. It's something, as I gaze out here looking at it, just the magnitude of looking at what we're building on the east side is so spectacular. And the building that we're in right now on the west side is coming down. And the magnitude of the structure on this side is going to be unbelievable. And so I'm so excited to be able to do this for everybody who's a member of our FC Dallas family. And the decision to stay here, really, it wasn't much of a decision. When you think about it, we didn't want to displace our core fans, core season ticket members, and go somewhere else. Could we have sped up construction? Yes. But that wasn't what was in the best interest of the club. It wasn't in the best interest of our fans. Frankly, wasn't in the best interest, I think, of the city here. The city is an unbelievable partner, City of Frisco and the school district. They're going to continue to play high school football games here, too, while we're under construction. So when you looked at, how disruptive that would be to this entire organization, plus disruptive to the school district, it just didn't make sense. And we have a home that we're incredibly proud of, and I promise you, you will be incredibly proud of this building when we're done. It's going to be spectacular. When you look at it and you think about it, 6,000 club seats, we're going to 57 suites. It'll be the most in Major League Soccer. We'll have this roof structure around. We'll be able to potentially one day go to over 80 suites here, which will be great from that standpoint. Increased concessions, increased merchandise, increased restrooms. This is going to be a first-class sporting stadium, and I would put it up against anything or any stadium anywhere. So really exciting times to be a fan of FC Dallas. But yes, a lot of thought went into this, and how we were going to design, build, and then not be disruptive to everybody who works inside this club.
Thank you, Dan. And we'll turn it over to Sam Neighbors with Dallas Sports Nation for the final question. Go ahead, please, Sam.
Hey, guys. Thanks for your time today. This question is for Andre and for Eric as well. You guys mentioned wanting to improve the midfield and attack. I want to talk a little bit about the back line, though. Obviously, last year with the shift in formation, some guys who we maybe didn't expect saw time at center back, Shaq Moore. And Eric, I know you mentioned that potentially extending Shaq's career with how he played. We saw Nolan get some time at the playoff game and had an amazing performance. But with bringing Ibby back for another year, do you guys feel comfortable with your stable of center backs, or is that a position that you're looking to upgrade and add to in the transfer market? Thank you.
I feel extremely confident, and I trust all of our center backs. That's one thing that in the last year's press conference, we mentioned we would address, that center backs would be something that we wanted to improve in our roster. So we added Osase, we added Alvaro, we added Lalas, and together with Ibiaga, with Nolan, and now Shaq. So we're going to 2026 with that 6 players that can play in that position, knowing that Shaq can also play. He played right wing back, left wing back, and Nolan can play also in multiple positions. So I feel very, very strong about the options that we have as center backs, and this will not be something we'll be addressing for the next season.
Yeah, I think if you look at what we became when we changed formations and went to 3 center backs, we became very stingy on the defensive side of the ball. And credit to all of those guys in the back. Where we need to evolve is with the ball in those 3 positions, and so that's the goal in preseason is getting our concepts right. Because we have a stable of guys, everyone you named, and that's going to be all of them are amazing defenders. And now it's about can we evolve and be what we need to be with the ball, and that's my job, is to develop those concepts, have the buy-in from those concepts, and then have them execute these concepts. And you'll see that. And I think when you saw Shaq in that center back position, that's those left and right center back positions, and especially will be attacking positions. in the evolution of where we're going. So just know that. But it's on everybody. We want to be a better version of ourselves with the ball, and that's progression. As any organization wants to do, progress yourselves year to year in who you are, and that's going to be a massive emphasis on progressing us and evolving us with the ball.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. With that will conclude tonight's press coverage. We thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much.